Jesus made a statement. He made it, I think it was Luke 12:48, where he said, to whom much is given, much will be required. And with that statement, he made a very clear understanding that there is a different responsibility for each person as they stand before God in judgment. All right, and so that has always been a concern of mine. For instance, let's take my kids, all right? So, Stacy. So she's sitting right back there. Let's take Stacy. She was raised in a very loving home with parents that loved her, taught Christian principles all of her life. She now has a wonderful husband, a wonderful family. Everybody's a Christian. They're raising, she's homeschooling her kids. And so you look at that, and the point is this. When he says, to him who much has been given, much will be required, sorry, Stace, but you're on the hook. I mean, huge. It means that she has such a responsibility before God because she's been given so much. And that would be true of all of my kids. In addition to that, they were born in America. And my point is, oh my gosh, you've been given such a benefit there. You're therefore that much more accountable for how you responded to God. And so the idea is this. So you take that illustration. So then you take a young lady that's born in Zimbabwe. She ends up being forced into the sex trade. She has no understanding or knowledge about God or anything relative to an understanding of God, and you just continue to add on top of that. And so it's fair to ask the question, if you look in Romans 1 and Romans 2, where God says that every single person that has ever lived will stand before him without excuse, I mean, come on. That's a lot of good excuses. Like, look at the life that I had. How is it that there can be justice when there is that much of a diversity of what we have been given? And how is because to him who much has been given, much will be required. And so what happens is there is an understanding as God, in his full, complete knowledge, is able to, if you will, God invents algorithm, okay? So here you go. To have the algorithm that takes everything into account that took place in our life, good, bad, wonderful, terrible, all the things that are going on there, and therefore is able to actually assign a level of responsibility that we would have to measure up to actually be able to respond. So when I think about it, obviously, if we've heard the name of Christ, if we've been taught about Christ, we have to have Christ to go to heaven. So that's the end all right there. But you also have a whole bunch of people based on Romans chapter 1 who have never heard the name of Christ. So how do they do that? And so what happens is the responsibility, of course, remember there's two things every single person that has ever lived is accountable to God for. First of all, conscience. God has placed himself within us. All right, so what we call conscience of right and wrong and oughtness. Secondly, that we look at creation and we see the God of the creation in creation.